Welcome to Kentucky Roll Call.
Here's a swing and a drive to deep left. Back goes Nixon. Looking up. Daly wins it. Daly wins it. Daly wins it.
With Walker and Peak.
Woodson from the gun. Play fake. Step it up. He's throwing deep down the near sideline. He's got Johnson. 20. Down. 5. Touchdown. Kentucky.
When Mitch called me and talked to me about being the head coach here at Kentucky, I understand the assignment. We are here to win banners.
Back outside. This is the point where he always hits it. Oh! Aaron Harrison beyond belief.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday to you, March 9th, 2026. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. I am TJ Walker, joined in studio with Stephen Peak, and on the other side of the cement is one producer, Matt Childress. I can only assume that he's here.
Yes.
Hope you're having. There he is. There he is. I hope you're having a great start to your Monday. Beautiful weather day. It's going to be great the next couple days, I believe. Happy championship week to you. My favorite week of the year. Maybe lost a little bit of its luster with UK just making a mess of everything. And we'll talk about that. Cats come up short against Florida. Everything that needed to go Kentucky's way on Saturday in the SEC did go their way. Had they beaten the Gators or just won any one game, maybe against A&M, against Auburn, against Georgia, against Missouri, if they had gotten any of those games, they would gotten a double bye and be starting their journey on Friday. Those things did not happen, so instead Kentucky will get started on the day of shame in the SEC tournament, the Wednesday, as the 9 seed. Stephen Peak, what's up? How are you?
Just getting ready for a very busy time. Leaving for Nashville tomorrow, but that'll be after we go to Lexington and get the Mark Pope press conference at 10:15. Got a Will Stein press conference at 12, and then we'll get on the road to Nashville. I think we're going to do a live Sources Say from one of the bars there on Broadway. That'll be fun. And then get ready for an 11:30 tip-off Central Time in Nashville. Before you've even had lunch, TJ, before you've even gotten to have a lunch break, Kentucky will be playing a basketball game in the SEC tournament.
Kentucky could be the first team eliminated from the SEC tournament.
It could be. I mean, LSU got up at 18 the last time these two teams played. So, it wouldn't be that crazy if Kentucky went one and done in this tournament. I don't think that's going to happen. I actually think this is, ironically, TJ, they're probably going to, I would say if I were betting on it right now, they probably win the most games that they've won since COVID. Since 2018. Because I don't think they've won 2 games in Nashville, right, since 2018.
2019, didn't they win 2 games?
I think they lost in the semis to Tennessee.
Okay, you may be right.
And then Auburn won it all. So, so a chance to double up their wins from last year, and they had they've had one SEC tournament win the last 3 seasons. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so chance to double that up in one tournament. Best opportunity to do it in a while.
Yeah, you just didn't think it'd be coming out of the Wednesday slot.
No, sure didn't. And like you said, the 4 games that I think about this year: at Auburn, at A&M, at home versus Missouri, at home versus Georgia. I would have assumed that Kentucky would have won 3 of we used to go all the time when I was a kid, and then I looked into it. It's because like I think kids eat free on Tuesdays. So that was probably why we did so much tumbleweed. But I haven't been there in a long time. Have you been to tumbleweed in a while? It's not their chips are not nearly as addictive as salsaritas.
Well, that nowhere is as wildly addictive as salsaritas.
That is true.
That much I can tell you. No, I'm a tumbleweed fan. We were the same. I think Louisville families all throughout the early 2000s just were tumbleweed families. It was weird. I had like a sixth sense with tumbleweed where I'd get home from we'd get it like once every 2 weeks, and sometimes we'd do the family night. Sometimes we wouldn't do the family night, or maybe once every 3 weeks. But I would like get home from school around 3 or whatnot, and my mom wouldn't get home from work until like 5:15 or 5:30. And there'd just be some days I'd get home and I'd just be like, man, I'm really craving tumbleweed, really want tumbleweed. And then as soon as my mom would get home, we'd be like, hey, I don't feel like cooking tonight. I think we're just going to do tumbleweed.
Oh,
it was so weird how that would, like, we'd be in sync with that. So that's great. I hope your mom had a great birthday. Hope you had a good weekend. Sunday, weather great. Friday, weather great. Saturday, pretty yucky. Not so good. Producer Matt, how are you? How was your weekend? What's up? What's new in Mattland?
I'm good. The weekend was good. Watched some college basketball. Watched the first race of F1 this year, which is exciting. I'm excited to have that back, even though it was at 11 at night. But
it's pretty late for a race. Could they see?
They could see because it was in Australia.
Well, that's good.
So for them, it was not 11 p.m. For us, it was.
Okay, daytime in Australia.
But no, it's fun. I've been really, I have been hyping myself up for this season to start recently. So I rewatched the F1 movie 2 weeks ago. Amazing movie. Love that movie. Then I went and binge watched the newest season of Drive to Survive last week to build up to this race, and it wasn't the best race on the planet. Had a lot of people crash and DNF, but that's some part of the excitement of it. So it was fun. It was a good weekend.
Well, good. I'm happy to hear that you had a good weekend. Big win for your Cards against Miami without Mikel Brown. So that was big, and U of L, they'll be the 6th seed in the ACC tournament. Do you see the ACC tournament flipped their seeding and their bracketing around, where normally it's beneficial for the 1 seed to play earliest, gives you more time for breaks and in between games. Since Duke is Duke and a good TV draw, they moved their 1 and 2 seeds to playing in the evening.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Or they're 1 and 4. They're 1 and 4 seeds. They flipped their bracket upside down where they play at night, which they can maybe get away with a little bit better because all like their championship games are Saturday night. So it's not like there's going to be a turnaround where Duke is playing in the evening and then they have to turn around and play at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock the next day. But they would get more time of a break if they were still playing at noon and then went into the evening game, I guess, on Friday night. But regardless, they flipped it all around, so they will play in the evening. We have all of our conference tournament brackets. They're out. They're made. They're ready to go. This time next week, we'll have our NCAA tournament brackets, which is crazy to think. The regular season has come and gone just like that, Stephen Peak, and now it is March Madness time. My favorite week of the year.
Love it.
And the reason why this is my favorite week of the year and not next week is simply put just more basketball. You'll have basketball. I mean, is there basketball on right now? If there's not this time tomorrow, there definitely will be.
I love watching just the mid-major tournaments. It's so much
fun.
All
day. And then you get to see all these teams where it is their March Madness. It is their winner go home. And it's their chance for their only times in their entire life play in the NCAA tournament. It means so much to them in those mid-major tournaments. So I love seeing that. I love seeing the excitement of that. That's fun to watch. And then from a Kentucky standpoint, I'm a huge fan of just, it's a new day, it's Wednesday, Kentucky plays. That should never be the case or a sentence regarding the SEC tournament. But here we are. And then, it's Thursday, it's a new day. They play again? Cool. It's Friday, it's a new day. They play again. It's just every day you get Kentucky basketball. And you know what? If they go to Sunday, I'm going to say start from Wednesday every season. It just means more games, more fun. So I love the idea of daily Kentucky basketball. It's the only time of the year you get it, especially with Kentucky not playing in the preseason tournaments anymore. And then secondly, Peak, it's all the excitement of March Madness. It's all the thrill of March Madness. It's all the win or go home of March Madness, except at least in championship week with Kentucky, if they do come up short, it's not over. The finality of next week has always been an issue for me, where it's like, all right, I'm excited for this first round of the NCAA tournament. I'm excited for the round of 32. But if it's over, it's over. And goodbye, good night, basketball. We'll see you in November or October. You don't have that this week. And even with this nightmare of a season that Kentucky's had, you still don't even have that this week. Kentucky's not going to lose to LSU on Wednesday, and we'll talk about the bracket. They may lose to Missouri on Thursday. They may win that game. Who knows? And then if they do win that game, they're almost certainly going to lose to Florida on Friday. And then that will be that. But the good news is the season won't be over, whether they lose on Thursday, whether they lose on Friday, even if they miraculously beat Florida on Friday, if they play on Saturday and lose then. You don't have the finality of, poof, it's all gone this week. That comes next week. So I like that aspect of it too. Everything matters. It's super important. You may get daily games, but when it's over, it ain't over. And that's why this week is the best week in all of sports. It does take a little bit of the shine out of it. Normally, I remember Roush and I always having this talking point, maybe not always, but frequently having this talking point of like, this week kind of stinks. You got to wait all the way till Friday. And in radio, you didn't get to talk about anything, right? It's like we preview the SEC tournament all week. Then it happens, and then Monday show rolls around, and then we have to recap sometimes 3 games in an SEC tournament, and then a bracket, and it's like, goodness gracious. Could we get this spread out a little bit? Well, finally got my wish.
Yeah, there you go.
This week will be strange for what it's worth, both from a Kentucky roll call, which is what you're listening to, perspective, and then both from the Bud Light Kentucky postgame show perspective as well. Because the normal protocol over for 680 is that if a game ends and it goes into the regular programming, they just let the regular programming do the postgame show. So theoretically, it'd be the game is going to end at 2:30, 3 o'clock on Wednesday. They would just go into Schriebel's show and let him take postgame show callers. They're going to do something a little different this year where I think I'm going to do it for like an hour and then hand it off to Schriebel. So we will be doing some postgame shows this week. Hopefully you'll be tuning in. I'll be doing a birthday postgame show on Wednesday, which will be a good time, but maybe only for like an hour. So, and we normally maybe go 90 minutes or something. So it'll be just a little bit shorter than it normally is. As for Kentucky roll calls, we haven't set anything totally in stone, but we're not dummies. You're not going to be listening to Kentucky roll call while Kentucky's playing, and quite frankly, we ain't going to be what are we going to be talking about? The game that's going on? And while I think there could be something fun about that, of us like on the air, oh my goodness, Colin, shoot the ball. You got to shoot it. Like while the game's going on, kind of like a live stream situation.
Yeah.
It would only be to like a dozen people if we're just being realistic. So either we will do a semi-pregame show and maybe just go from 12 to 12:30. Like we'll lead you into the game and then we'll just call it a show, or we just won't have shows as long as Kentucky's playing basketball. So I feel good about them winning Wednesday. I know LSU played them close. I know you had to have the Malachi Miracle to win down in Baton Rouge, but I don't think you have to worry about that on Wednesday. I think the Cats will be all right. And then you'll get that game on Thursday against Missouri. So odds are it'll either only be about 30 minutes of Kentucky roll call on Wednesday or Thursday, or potentially no Kentucky roll call on Wednesday or Thursday. And then the same would apply on Friday. Now, they would start at 1 on Friday. It gets pushed back 30 minutes on Friday.
Oh, okay.
So that would be something to monitor or keep an eye on if the Cats are able to win a few games in the SEC tournament. They would have made life significantly easier on themselves had they won one game on Saturday, just a couple of days ago. Had they won against Florida, we'd be having a completely different conversation. But Peak, a topic from Saturday's game, fatigue that was a big factor. According to Mark Pope, fatigue has been a factor this season, according to Mark Pope, not according to Andre Yelovich. Maybe we'll talk about that.
That was interesting.
A little bit. So fatigue cost you the game on Saturday. Well, now you just need to win 5 games in 5 days.
No reason to worry. Yeah.
Fatigue shouldn't be a factor at all, at least for that moving forward. But, Peak, your take on Florida's win, it not obviously what we were looking for before they even flipped it over. Before the ESPN coverage even made their way over, it was 11-0 Florida. And while Kentucky pretty much played them competitively after the fact, another huge halftime deficit. Cats make it very interesting late, similar to the game down in Gainesville. Cats lose by 7, though, and never really make Florida sweat. Some interesting missed calls there very late that could have changed things maybe ever so slightly. But I don't want to portray this anything differently. Kentucky was down 17 at the half and never really threatened.
No.
So that was disappointing. Peak, your takes from Saturday's game.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there was the game was over with before everyone. Actually, I would normally say before everyone got settled in their seats, but that's not the case. Rupp Arena was absolutely electric on Saturday. That was one of the best atmospheres. I actually liked they gave out these I don't know what you would call them, these lights that you put on your wrist, and they had them synced, with the crowd. So it was really cool. Of course, the senior day stuff, so people get in there early. They want to see that. And loud pops for everyone, but Otega Owe obviously gets a loud pop from the fans. Everything he's done these last 2 years, making him a fan favorite. And I kind of sort of talked myself into Kentucky. This game's gonna come down to the wire, and it kind of did with the late, fury of points there from Kentucky as the game was closing out. But yeah, I mean, it was 7-0. You're down a touchdown right away. Didn't call a timeout yet. I think they called a timeout when it was 11-0, right? Yeah. So it was we were 2.5 minutes into the game, 11-0, and the game was over. I just didn't see at that point. It's like you can't do this. You cannot spot a team that is looking like one of the best teams in college basketball, 11 points. You can't. And you can say, well, Kentucky actually, for the last 37.5 minutes of the game, Kentucky actually won, but that's not really telling the honest story here. Florida, I think that if you talk with listen to what Todd Golden said after the game, that they kind of what Brandon Garrison alluded to in the A&M game. They got kind of comfortable. Game was over. They didn't. It's not that they weren't trying, but you're winning by 13 to 17 points the whole game. Even when Kentucky, Otega Owe was on fire early. He hits that 3 to make it 20-19. And okay, here we go. Like, now the crowd is into it. You basically reset the game. You're only down 1. And then Jasper Johnson makes a turnover. They score. Jasper Johnson commits another turnover. He then gets frustrated, intentionally fouls. I think they made both free throws and then scored. And then the game was over. I think that began a 13-0 run for the Gators. And, I'm not, like, upset that that Kentucky lost to the 5th best team in the country. I look at Florida's roster, and I'm like, why are they so good? Like, their front court is good, but what's their backcourt? How is their backcourt so much better? Or how does it appear so much better? And how is Kentucky still, in March, not closing out on three-point shooters? How are we not meeting guys on the catch? Like, guys who are one guy hit 5 threes against Kentucky in Gainesville. How are you leaving him open? When Mark Pope said this team is a work in progress, that's poor choice of words. It's it was March 7th, and we're talking about a work in progress. I don't know. I didn't like hearing that.
I think he also mentioned, we talked about this on the post-game show on Saturday. He had the quote of, like, if we defend, I think is what he said. If we defend, we're pretty good.
You should probably do that.
I would think to do that, yeah.
There was a total difference in intensity on defense at the end of the game. And I know that you can't expect that for 40 minutes. You will wear yourself down, but there's just not enough urgency. I talked about this after the A&M game. There's just not enough urgency to get stops. It's the one thing that Calipari demanded out of his players, that like every defensive possession matters, and we just don't play with that consistently enough.
Yeah, the sense of urgency. I mean, there's so much wrong with this team, but the sense of urgency is there. That's an issue as well.
You can't blame fatigue when at the beginning of the game is when you lost. You lost the game when it was 11-0.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's tired at that point. Again, like letting Florida, would they hit 2 threes during that time? I mean, Florida was comes in as one of the worst 3-point shooting teams, and I think they were 4 for 4 to start the game. What did they end up shooting from 3? Was it like 40%? Yeah, 44% on 8 of 18. It's not because, man, everybody just shoots well against Kentucky. I think people are shooting well against Kentucky because we're not closing out on shooters.
Correct.
So
I tried to say that a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, and you had so many Kentucky fans be like, of course this team shoots well against us. Terrible 3-point shooting numbers all season, but of course they hit against Kentucky. Well, I wonder why that keeps happening.
Yeah.
Just tough luck, I suppose? No, it's just a team that's lazy to close out.
And then, it's so interesting to me how they can have, their best shooters get looks at the basket. Now, I mean, how do you pronounce his last name? Urban Klavzar. Is that Klavzar, okay. I mean, he only took 2 threes. He got, 11 off in Gainesville.
Yeah.
But Colin Chandler, the best 3-point shooter in the SEC, only getting 3. Well, it's really 2 looks. The first one he took was as the shot clock was expiring, and he just had to throw something up.
Which seems like that seems to always happen on Kentucky's first couple possessions near shot clock violations.
Last year, they were really good at opening possession. It almost seemed like it was like the opening possession of a football game. Like it was like a scripted drive.
That's what I was
going to
compare it to, is that like if the opening game is somewhat a scripted drive, I think we are telling on ourselves a little bit. Slow starts have been an issue all season.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
We never have anything good out the gate offensively. And you do see that all the time in college basketball, high school basketball. I don't know about the NBA, but at least in college and high school, you do see it frequently where teams get the tip, they run a set, they get an open shot, and they make it. Everybody's legs are fresh. Everybody just got done doing the shoot-around, so everybody's the ball's feeling good in all these people's hands, and it's just like, that's the way it's supposed to look. Way to go. But you see the game start to evolve from that point as people get tired and people start making adjustments and that sort of stuff. Kentucky never has anything to start the game. And while that in its own right is not a big deal to me, like, oh, no, you don't score on the opening possession or the opening possession or the time after that. Well, on the one hand, it does matter, especially when you're starting so slowly and you're down 11-0 or you're down 17-2. Like, yes, you do need points early on in the game, but it's more symbolic to me. Are you just not ready?
Yeah.
What was the game plan coming out or coming in? In Florida, their first 2 possessions, the first 2 times they have the ball to start the game, they just go pound it inside because they have a good front court, and that's what you do. And I was thinking to myself, like, all right, was Kentucky not prepared for Florida to go inside? And then on the meantime, on the other side of the ball, they're not doing anything offensively. Then Kentucky starts to adjust a little bit to Florida's interior strength. What do? They get open threes now. It's just like, what are you doing? You weren't ready for them to go inside, so then you make an adjustment after a few possessions to start doubling and pounding inside, and then you leave the perimeter wide open? You like, I get it if it's a pick your poison sort of thing, but be better. The whole roster needs to be better then. Then everything's so far off. And it is. Everything's just so far off, Peak. It's just like Colin Chandler is entirely too easy to take out of a basketball game.
Yeah.
And you saw it twice in the last week. Team said, all right, this dude is killing us from threes. Well, let's go over top of everything. Let's go over top of everything and force him inside, which is something I also said about a month ago. Is Colin Chandler's good? He's really improved. He's only going to get better. I want him back next season. All those things are still true, but he really needs to work on, all right, I'm pump faking. you're in the air, I'm going inside. Can he knock down that floater? He'll try to dunk on somebody every now and then, which is fun to watch, and tried that against Florida. Or can he go lay it up and go get a tough two? He cannot do that. He cannot go lay it up and get a tough two. We haven't really seen much of the floater or pull-up game. And then really the only thing he can do is if he doesn't shoot that three, he's either going to cram on somebody or he's going to pass. But he's pretty one-dimensional right now as a shooter for the most part. Florida took it away from him. A&M took it away from him.
It's wild to me that he is so one-dimensional because he has athleticism. I don't know why he can't. If you're gonna basically face guard me, I'm gonna go back door and I'm gonna dunk on somebody. I'm gonna get to the basket. I'm gonna draw fouls. He's athletic enough to do all of that. So why is it that he's become so one-dimensional? He's the best shooter in the SEC. Also, can we not run stuff to get him looks? Can you not get him more than 3 looks? It actually annoyed me last year. There were times when Kobe Bryant could get 12 threes off, and then there were games where he would get completely taken out. He'd only get a few looks from 3. And I get it. If you want to take Colin Chandler out of the game, I cannot believe that just completely shuts down Kentucky's offense. And granted,
I can kind of, because if you take out one of the 3 scorers from Kentucky, they're not going to beat a decent team.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right, but I just can't believe that's it.
Aberdeen, Oweh, and Chandler. They don't all have to be great.
Yeah.
They don't all have to be good, but you can't have one of them be really bad.
And Oweh, of course, had another great game. He was 4 of 8 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 28 points. He did take 21 shots to get there, but I mean, he kind of had to. That's what I'm saying though. Okay, fine, you took Colin Chandler out, but Aberdeen, he was 1 of 6 from 3. I think what did Todd Golden say after the game? He said not really efficient.
Yeah, some Kentucky fans took exception to that. I mean, he's being
that's
totally honest. I appreciate coaches like Nate Oates and Todd Golden when they're actually dissecting a game and talking back on a game that they are being honest. And sometimes when you're being honest, it may come off a little uncomfortable when you're talking about a player having a bad game or a team having a bad game. But it's okay for an opposing coach to say that about an opposing player. And he was actually super complimentary of Denzel Aberdeen, saying, we know him, we love him, he's good. We really, he was a focal point for us. Mm-hmm. We really wanted to kind of target him, and he ended up scoring some points late, but he wasn't very efficient. And guess what? He wasn't very efficient. He was 4 of 13. And that's like the baseline, I think. Denzel Aberdeen's game, that's what I think you can get away with in a winning effort. I think either Oweh, Aberdeen, or Chandler can be as inefficient as Aberdeen was, and that can be okay. But you can't mix that with Colin Chandler, who's just a no-show. You're not going to win. You just are not going to win, and especially against a top 5 team.
Yeah.
So all 3 of those guys don't all have to be good, but you can't have one of them just be absolutely bad. And Colin Chandler, teams are taking him away now, and that's what other teams are going to do. They're going to say, you know what? You've seen it. You've seen other teams try different things this year. I forget who was it, South Carolina, who was like, you know what? We're not going to let Oweh beat us. We'll let other people do it, but it's not going to be Oweh. Well, they still lost, and you're just going to see some variation of teams trying to take away one of these 3 players and then letting everybody else have to do it themselves. And unfortunately, it works. It works because you just don't have enough production on your front court. You don't have enough reliable production from the 4 or another wing outside of whoever the 3 is between Oweh, Chandler, and Aberdeen, usually Chandler. You just don't have enough. It's not a good enough team. Injuries have played a factor, but your margin for error is incredibly thin, and you're seeing teams start to game plan for how you make life difficult for Kentucky. And it ain't fun for us fans. Get your text into the Gameday Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. We'll read some text when we get on the show. We can talk more about the game on Saturday. We can talk more about the SEC tournament. We can talk more about championship week, wherever you want to go. Spring football not too far away as well, so we'll maybe talk a little football also. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. Stephen Peak, producer Matt Childers, TJ Walker, back after this. Matt Childers. Get your text into the Gameday Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. Gameday Men's Health, redefining men's wellness. The weather is improving.
Ooh.
Now's not the time for shortcuts. Now's the time to get that body looking right, feeling right, and by the summer, people are going to say, whoa, you look a little different. What's up? What have you been up to? And you can say, I've been going to Gameday Men's Health. GameDayMen'sHealth.com, redefining a new era of men's wellness. Just results at Gameday Men's Health. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Defining a new era in men's health. All right, get your text in, 502-414-1450. Patrick Murphy says, did Peak say it was his birthday on Sunday or was it his mom's birthday? Either way, happy belated birthday anyhow. It was his mom's. Peak's birthday's the 24th, which is my mom's birthday.
Wow.
Weirdly
I can't believe
enough.
you remember that. But did we have a conversation about this? I guess we did.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember you saying that your birthday
When is your birthday again? Now I got to know what yours is.
The 11th.
Yours is okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This
cool.
week.
Cool.
So.
A lot of March birthday. One of my good friends, Kyle Griffin, his birthday was March 6th. My other friend is in March.
My co-host at the other station, his birthday was Saturday. Yeah, March birthdays.
Do you think that has had any effect on March Madness for you, like an extra excitement from when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think like when your birthday's that week. I always say that I like championship week. I'm sure it's partially because my birthday falls on championship week. I'm sure that has something to do with it. An added little bonus to it. But on the flip side, if you could like kind of pick your birthday, I probably would pick my birthday just in like the middle of July or just some random stupid. Because I'm excited enough this week as is. You throw a birthday into it, it's like, all right, well now it's on steroids. But I'd be like a kid in a candy shop this week, regardless of a birthday.
Yeah.
And next week, and really all of March with the NCAA tournament going on. So,
but see, sometimes with
I'm a big March birthday fan though.
Yeah, March 24th though puts it in a weird. Like it's kind of depressing. A lot of times, the last few years have been. I get messages from people. Happy birthday! Sorry about the cats. So that's you're like, oh yeah, this sucks. I think it was after the Oakland game. Got back into town, and then we celebrated my birthday, and I was just like, this feels like there's nothing to celebrate. How do I do it? And do you still like get excited about your birthday? Do you still like? Here we go. March 11th is coming up.
Excited in like which way? I think like the anniversary of the day that you entered the world is always cool. Just to be like, hey, this day, sadly, a very, very, very long time ago, was when I made my appearance. I really think birthdays should be celebrations of like. This is gonna be such a cheesy, corny thing to say. I think birthdays should be like the celebrations of the moms. Like I should go celebrate my mom on my birthday. Like I should go to her and be like, hey, way to go. It's my birthday. You did it. Because the moms, shockingly, are the ones who really do all the work. The baby, I think, is just along for the ride for the most part. The moms have a lot to do on the day that a baby is born. A lot to do. It's a memorable day for them. But I don't know. I like it. I don't go around all day and I'm not a 14-year-old girl where I wear like a slash and a tiara around all day and I'm like, it's my birthday, everybody needs to bow down to me. But I'm also not the grumpy, it doesn't even matter after 21 anymore. Like, I don't care about my birthday. Like, no, be nice to me. Tell me happy birthday. And it's never a bad thing to make somebody feel special one day of the year.
Yeah, my dad actually goes and gets the coupons and all of the stuff the free things that businesses offer for your birthday.
All the emails.
I wish I had time to do stuff like that.
Yeah, he takes it real serious. Like he takes a couple days off work, and then you get to use those things for like a whole month afterwards.
I'll usually take advantage of like one of those. Like, hey, it's a free shake on your birthday, buddy. Come have one.
Yeah.
Like, all right, fine.
Might as well. They're giving out free stuff.
Twist my arm. This one's just going to be this birthday is just going to be strange just because, you're an adult. You're in your mid-30s now. We don't have a full radio broadcasting plan. I never like to work on my birthday. That's one thing I will say. I always try to keep it relatively light on my birthday, and I'm lucky enough to have that opportunity to kind of make my own schedule to make it light. I think there's been some years that it's just been unavoidable. But A little interesting this year. Cats are playing. Cats haven't played on my birthday, I think, since 2021, which was when they were an 8 seed in the SEC tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And lost to Mississippi State. I don't think they've played on my birthday since then. Maybe there's been one day. 2022 maybe they did, or 2023, when they beat Vandy in the SEC tournament and then lost to Tennessee.
That had been 22, yeah.
2022 they may have played on my birthday as well. But, all right, so maybe they got the bad taste out of the birthday out of my mouth. But, no, it's going to be interesting. It'll be a different one for sure. May do a little Kentucky roll call, about 20 or 30 minutes of roll call on Wednesday. Watch the game, hopefully a win, then do a little bit of post-game show, maybe a little bit. The daughter has a half day on Wednesday, so that throws a wrench into the whole thing. I did think about going down to the game just because it made it available. If it was a night game, that wasn't going to be possible, but with it being a day game, it wasn't off the table. I'm like 95% sure I'm not going to do that, head down to Nashville. So I don't know. My
You still considering it?
I'm still considering it, but unlikely. Like, again, less than probably a 5% chance. But once it was official, I was like, all right, maybe I'll look into that. That'd be an easy trip. Just go down there, go to the game, come back after. Could still be around for bedtime and all that sort of stuff. So don't think I will. But in a different time, different life, I definitely would. It's feasible, possible. I thought the draw for Kentucky, I don't want to have like too positive of a take. But if we really, besides the embarrassment of it, Peak, besides the embarrassment of playing on Wednesday and being the 9 seed, that should never happen for Kentucky. And I mean that. It really should never happen for Kentucky. It's really not the end of the world, like the draw that they had.
No, like I said, they could win 2 games.
They really should win 2 games. They really should. And then you should be playing on Friday.
Fatigue will set in.
Against Florida. And we all expected a Friday game. We just expected things to start on Friday. But let's say that Kentucky did beat Florida. Everything would be so different today. The talking points, the narratives, the feelings in the fan base, the vibes heading down to Nashville, everything would be so different. But say that you are the 4 seed, and you would have, I think, either played, would you have played Tennessee or Vandy on that Friday? Whoever it would have been.
Yeah.
What if you would have lost that game? And then you get 0 SEC tournament wins. You don't make it to Saturday anyways. And regardless, that game on Friday is going to be tough regardless wherever you're coming from. So if Kentucky would have started on Thursday, let's say they would have been the 7 seed.
Okay.
And let me just take the bracket as it is, but it would have been different, but it doesn't really matter for the thought exercise. Let's say they would have been the 7 seed on Thursday. And they would have played Texas on that Thursday. Kentucky versus Texas is very similar to Kentucky versus Missouri. I know Missouri won at Rupp Arena and Texas didn't. But any of those Thursday games are going to be similar. Probably a game Kentucky fans feel like they should win, but it's not a given, and it could be somewhat difficult. So if you start on Thursday, you don't play on Wednesday, so you don't get a chance to win on Wednesday. You're playing Texas on Thursday. Toss-up game. You feel like you should win it. Let's say you win it. And then you play Alabama on Friday. Is Alabama on Friday on 1 day rest or 1 day having to play a game? Is it that much different than Florida on 2 straight games? I would say Florida on 2 straight games is tougher. But the point that I'm trying to make is that it was going to be difficult on Friday regardless. Even if you had the double bye, even if you were starting your SEC tournament journey on Friday, if you were playing Tennessee and you had to beat Tennessee for the 3rd time, that's going to be a difficult game. If you're playing Alabama and you were coming from the 7 spot, that was going to be a difficult game.
Yep.
Peak, I'm just going to, if it's just you and me talking and we're just friends, I'm happy that you're avoiding Arkansas.
Well, yeah, I really didn't want to run into them again.
Could you beat Arkansas again? Yes, you could beat Arkansas again. But we think that the mindset's not very good right now. Imagine if John Calipari, Mr. I don't like the SEC tournament, imagine if he sent your ass home and you won 1 SEC tournament game or you won 0 SEC tournament games, and then it's Arkansas beating you and sending you on the road. And then the one bright moment of this season, or one of maybe the few bright moments of this season, that gets nullified. That gets taken out. This season's not going to be all that memorable unless something absolutely shocking happens over the next month, which unfortunately I don't think is going to happen. But we can look back at the season and said, a bad UK team went into Calipari's hog heaven and beat the snot out of them.
Yeah,
that was fun. At least we had that this year.
Tennessee beating
sweeping Tennessee.
Kind of glad we don't have to play them again.
But guess what? Yeah, same boat. If you played Tennessee and they beat you, oh man, the one slight bright spot of this season has a little bit of dirt on it.
Yeah.
Loses some of its shine. All right, we beat Calipari. Oh no, but he sent your butt home in the SEC tournament. That would lose some of its shine. Point being, the embarrassment factor, I've got no justification for it. Kentucky basketball should never be the 9 seed, should never start its SEC tournament journey on Wednesday. But from the practicality standpoint of it, I wish I could be more outraged. But this isn't the worst setup. I hate being honest, but it's really not the worst setup.
I mean, you're not
going to get a win on Wednesday.
You should.
You should get a win on Thursday. Boom, 2 wins. That hasn't happened in Nashville for a long time. Forget about how you get there. And then you get Florida for the 3rd time on the season, for the 2nd time in 6 days. Yes, it'll be your 3rd game. Yes, you'll be worn out. Yes, you'll be fatigued. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. You'll be used to that arena. You'll be used to, and they'll lose to Missouri, right? And they won't even play Florida.
That's what that's what
all going to be moot for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But any of those Friday games were going to be tough. Whether it was Vandy, whether it was Tennessee, whether it was Alabama, whether it was Arkansas, or whether it was Florida. Is Florida the toughest of the bunch? Absolutely. But so be it. The season's been whatever. Roll the dice. If you're already 2-0 that week going in, or 2-0 this week going into the Florida game, I don't want to say house money because it's Kentucky basketball, but it was going to be tough to get to Saturday anyway. You broke it down.
It's just,
and then if you had gotten to Saturday from the 4-spot peak, you would have been playing Florida then anyways, which an extra day does matter. I don't want to say all right, so if you had gotten one more game, would it have really mattered?
Well, maybe. I mean, this probably doesn't happen, but maybe Missouri plays an amazing game in the quarterfinals, and maybe they would have beaten Florida, and then you're playing Missouri, and then you probably run into Arkansas in the championship game in Cal. Maybe.
Well,
but I'm just saying, this is the worst Kentucky. I mean, I know that they tied for 6th, but according to the tiebreakers are the tiebreakers. This is the worst finish Kentucky has ever had in the SEC.
Wow. We've got hot and heavy breaking NFL news just left and right today.
Whoa. What's going on?
Did you see that Travis Kelce's back?
Where is he? Is he back in Kansas City?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you see, producer Matt, that Travis Kelce's mom is doing a home renovation?
Oh, I didn't know that. That's actually more important than Travis Kelce being back because he's probably not going to do anything again.
A really funny social media moment last night. TMZ did a breaking news, and it was a picture of Travis Kelce's mom, Donna Kelce, and it just the way that it looked made it seem like she died. Just with breaking news and a big picture of Donna Kelce. But the whole tweet was TMZ was just reporting that she is doing home renovations, which is why TMZ do you need to make a tweet about that? Why does that need to be news? So a lot of people were quote tweeting it with a black and white picture of Donna Kelce where it's breaking. Donna Kelce has passed on using tile in the bathroom for her home renovation, passed in all caps and stuff like that.
Wow.
So, that was news. But no, Travis Kelce's going to run it back probably just one more time in Kansas City. So him and Tay can have one more year of some big pay. And then Kenneth Walker, he's heading to Kansas City. What do you think about that, producer Matt?
Yeah, when was the last time we saw a Super Bowl MVP get traded? All right, no, he wasn't traded. He was a free agent, but just leave that team.
Yeah, not get picked up. I know. That's pretty crazy.
Because he was asking, I think it came out, he didn't even want to get paid something crazy. They were just give me a franchise tag. Keep me here. And they were yeah, not doing that. Sorry, buddy.
They're we know the value of a running back in the NFL. You helped win us a Super Bowl, but we can find another one of you. And they've got a good, why can't I think of Charbonnet, Zach Charbonnet, who has a pretty major injury.
There was a pretty big trade literally 2 seconds ago between your all's teams.
Well,
I saw that.
Do you want to break it for us?
It's your team.
No, go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead.
Well, backup quarterback Malik Willis will now be going to the Dolphins.
Woo! That was what got me onto this today. And isn't
We're
it
back?
Is it a trade or are they just signing him?
I just saw the tweet that just said Malik Willis to the Dolphins, so I didn't look into it yet.
Malik Willis, by the way, Peak, I love Malik Willis. You're turning it into the Packers. You're turning it into Lambeau South here, hiring the Packers defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. You're right.
Now you're getting the backup quarterback in Malik Willis.
Yes.
They are signing him as a free agent.
Okay, I thought that was the case.
Okay. And the Falcons are getting Tua?
Yeah, Tua Tagovailoa is going to check out Atlanta Falcons, which if you're the Falcons, why? Like, what? Why? I wanted Tua to be I wanted him to take Malik's spot. I wanted this just to be a good old-fashioned swap. Tua come be backup in Green Bay, but Malik, I think he will be solid.
Really?
He's going to be good enough to win the AFC East.
Well,
no. But as a backup quarterback, he was such a luxury that if, like, Jordan Love got hurt, offense really didn't skip a beat. He was good. He was good. So naturally, he will not work out in Miami because nobody ever does. So don't hold me to this. But NFL news, hot and heavy today. Now the Dolphins, they have Malik Willis. They got Achin, Jalen Waddle. Jeff Hafley's got some pieces there, year one. The Giants have agreed to a deal with Isaiah Likely, the former Ravens tight end, is going to New York. So a lot going on here in the NFL. And if there's any more breaking news, we'll be sure to talk about it.
Patriots still don't have a replacement wide receiver yet.
You'll get one. Steelers are signing Michael Pittman to a 3-year deal. So there you go.
Did you see Alex Pierce's deal?
Michael Pittman to the Steelers. Yeah, Alec Pierce. He's getting way too much with the Colts, right?
It's like $23-something million.
4 years, $116 million.
He was offered by
That's crazy.
the 49ers and the Patriots, and they were going to give him 30+, and he turned both of them down.
Wow. Jalen Phillips agreed to a 4-year, $120 million deal with the Panthers. That's a lot of money the Panthers are giving to him. Wow. Okay, so, I mean, all this stuff is just happening as we are on the air, and we'll be sure to update you as it's happening. Another texter on the Gameday Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Patrick Murphy wants us to know that his birthday is on the 19th.
Oh, another March guy.
Oh, and we may play some trivia tomorrow, by the way. I think Corey Price, he's heading down to Nashville, so he wanted to get his trivia in this week. We may do the trivia tomorrow. I think that works out pretty well. 502-414-1450. A texter says, we were all looking for NFL free agency chat today. Hey, it's news. It's happening right now. We got to discuss it. Another texter says, we continue to be matched up with Miami of Ohio in just about every major projection I've seen. Would prefer that matchup to someone like SMU. Oh, yeah, Miami of Ohio doesn't scare me at all.
No.
Crazy game, though, over the weekend.
That was.
Feels like that was like 2 weeks ago.
The thing is, look, Miami of Ohio I don't think should scare anybody who is a major Power 4 conference program. But at the same time, if you play them in the first round, no matter what team you are, if you beat them, you're just the villain of the college of March Madness for the rest of the season.
No, who cares? Oh, no, not the villain.
I hate that.
I don't want that.
I don't think Miami's winning a tournament game. And you know if Louisville was like a 7 seed and Miami was the 10 seed, you'd be happy to see them up there because you'd think that that's an easy win. And it should be thought of as an easy win. Ohio is one of the worst teams in the MAC, and they should have beaten Miami of Ohio. They were several points favored in that game.
I think they also hadn't won at Ohio unless it's like 2011 or something like that.
Miami hadn't?
Miami hadn't, yeah.
So they got some demons off their back there. We'll read more texts. We'll talk more college basketball. We'll talk conference tournament championship week here on Kentucky Roll Call. Hour number 2 coming up next on the Big X.
for you personally?
I think we ain't doing it.
With Walker and Peak.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. During the commercial break, Stephen Peak, TJ Walker, producer Matt Childers. Matt wasn't. He was in his little producer room doing his own little producer things. But we were talking about the Sun Belt Conference Tournament because everybody's talking about the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. And they had one of those brackets where the first round was the 12 versus the 13 and the 11 versus the 14. And then the second round was the winner of those two games get to play the 9 seed and the 10 seed. And then the winner of those two games get to take on the 8 seed and the 7 seed. And the winner of those two games, the 5 and the 6. You get it? Maybe you've seen that bracket, maybe you haven't. But it's hilarious to look at, and it just goes and it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. And the reason they do it is the Sun Belt conferences like the Sun Belt, they want their top teams, the best teams in their conference, to be most likely to get the automatic qualifying bid. A league like the Sun Belt is a one-bid league. Whoever wins the conference is going to be the representative in the NCAA tournament. So theoretically, the number 1 seed Troy could go 14-2 in conference, and the 2 seed could be, 10-6 in conference, where Troy, wins the conference by 4 games, but they get upset in the conference tournament. Some other team wins the conference, and they get to represent the Sun Belt in the NCAA tournament. That team gets crushed, and the Sun Belt feels like, oh, man, if we had Troy, we actually feel like they had a decent chance to win some games in the tournament. So they set up these brackets to try to get the top 2 teams to represent the conference. Well, we got something fun going on in the Sun Belt. Again, the really weird bracket that looks long and whatever. We had a semifinal of Troy, the 1 seed, versus Southern Miss, who was the 8 seed, who they joined the party on Thursday, which is kind of crazy. So they played the 9 seed James Madison. They beat James Madison. Then they had to play the 5 seed Texas State. They beat Texas State. Then they had to play the 4 seed Appalachian State, and they beat Appalachian State. And then they played the 1 seed Troy. And unfortunately for Southern Miss, Peak, Troy's 1 game in the tournament. They win. They eliminate Southern Miss, who was playing 4 games in 4 days, and that Cinderella story ends. But in the bottom half of the bracket, starting a day earlier than Southern Miss,
crazy,
was Georgia Southern, who was the 10 seed. So the conference tournament started on March 3rd, a Tuesday. Georgia Southern entered the fold as a 10 seed the Wednesday. So they played Old Dominion. They beat them. They played the 7 seed Arkansas State. They won that game. They played the 6 seed South Alabama. They won that game. Then they played the 3 seed Coastal Carolina. Won that game by 24.
Crazy.
And then they get to play the 2 seed Marshall. They win that game. So it is number 1 seed Troy taking on Georgia Southern, who Georgia Southern will have been playing a game every day since Wednesday, March 4th, and today is Monday, March 9th, and they have played a game every day, and they have won a game every day. Today is their final chance. If Georgia Southern wins, that will be...
That's crazy.
They'll be a 16 seed, almost certainly.
Probably a playing game.
Maybe maybe a 15 seed potentially. I don't know. But they're 8-10 in the Sun Belt. They'll take on number 1 seeded Troy tonight. 7 o'clock in Pensacola. You can get in for free, I think. I don't know.
Really? 6 p.m. tonight? Is that what you said?
7 p.m.
So 7 p.m. Okay.
7 p.m.
Oh, yeah, game times are in Central Time. Okay. Yeah, so this would be six games in 6 days.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Does it give you any hope that Kentucky could do something like that?
Absolutely not.
I know. But it is wild.
I do think Kentucky can, make – they're just going to end up losing to Missouri because everybody's already looking ahead to a Florida game. Or they'll end up just losing to LSU probably. But, no, they'll beat LSU. I feel very good about that. I do think that they could play Florida close. I mean, they played them close 2 other times.
They're the only team, I think, to lose to them in conference by less than 10 points.
So I think they could be competitive in that game. And the fun thing would be, get to Friday and then be in that game at half. Don't be down 17.
That would be ideal.
And then let the pressure build up. Let the crowd take over. Let adrenaline take over. Who knows? Maybe we'll end up having some fun this week down in Nashville. I would welcome it. We got some other conference championship games tonight. Some other tickets are going to get punched. You get the final in the SoCon, Furman taking on Tennessee State. East Tennessee State. That's where Kenny Chesney went to college. East Tennessee State, their mascot?
No, all I know about them is Kentucky. It was Calipari's first tournament game at Kentucky.
Yes, they were a 16 seed against the John Wall team. They are the Buccaneers. They are the Buccaneers.
Eric Bledsoe, what, he hit 7 threes that game?
Was that East Tennessee or was that the Wake Forest game the next round?
Pretty sure it's East Tennessee, because I was at the Wake Forest game in New Orleans.
They played Wake Forest the next game, and Wake Forest was talking all sorts of trash.
They were, and the Kentucky
they had a big guy. They had a big guy that, all right, I don't know.
McFarland, right?
Well, yeah.
And he wouldn't shake Cousins' hand at midcourt.
Yeah, great memory.
Yeah, and that was Cousins was like, he came off like clapping, like, all right, you want to do that? Let's go. And then Kentucky beat him by 30.
That was such a weird time in UK basketball history. And next up for the Cats after that was Cornell.
Weird.
In the Sweet 16. In the Sweet 16. All right, so you get the championship in the SoCon tonight, and then that is it in terms of punching tickets for the big dance. But a lot of other conference tournaments, semifinals, quarterfinals, first rounds. There is basketball going on all day starting at 2 o'clock today in the SWAC. The SWAC first round is today. So,
by the way, Bledsoe was 8 of 9 in that game. Kentucky shot 33 threes.
33 threes. Well, I think they shot 32 or 34 threes against West Virginia in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
So we could have used some of those.
I didn't realize that Cal was.
I promise you that. They were more open in that game than they were against East Tennessee.
Probably.
They were wide open against West Virginia. But you were playing in a GD football stadium is what it was.
Yeah, there's something to that. I don't know why West Virginia was able to hit the threes they hit in the first half, but yeah, there's something to playing in those big stadiums, apparently. You ever see that show Sports Science where they broke down why it's so hard to shoot in a dome? No.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a ginormous building. There's wind. There's wind.
Long Island University also punched their ticket into the
Fins up.
Yeah, you've been following that, Matt?
I've been keeping up with it.
That's so cool. So
not like heavily, but I've been keeping up with it.
I looked for their highlights yesterday. There's probably, like 50, 60 people in that gym?
That's pretty generous.
Yeah.
That looks like a JV basketball gym.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And so I think Mercyhurst, the team they're playing in the Northeast Conference Tournament Championship, isn't eligible for the NCAA tournament this year. So no matter what happens in that game, Long Island University will be dancing.
The Long Island Sharks.
I loved it. I saw
Hands up.
It's becoming one of the cooler traditions in college basketball. It will be neat, like when they're playing in the NCAA tournament, all the neutral fans doing the fins up.
If you don't know what we're talking about, LIU, the Sharks, whenever they shoot a free throw, there's this dorky, way too old guy, and he looks at the crowd and turns around and he says, all right, everybody, fins up, and then everybody in the crowd, good time for the YouTube stream.
Yeah.
Puts their arms up like a fin of a shark, if you will, and then they shoot the free throw, and if they make it, they go whoosh, and they put it down, and they get all excited about it. Did you see where Nebraska's student section copied it?
Well, why? What does that have to do with the Cornhusker?
They just did the fins up. They just
doing it.
Totally did it. Just stole it. I did like it. People nationally were just like, oh, it's kind of douchey, Nebraska. That's not your thing. You don't get to just steal it. You don't get to just do it because you want to do it. So they got crushed for it.
The Dolphins.
For what it was worth.
So what's worse, Nebraska stealing that or Texas A&M yell leaders?
Always the yell leaders.
Yeah.
When in doubt, you just always go yell leaders. But no, best week of the year. You'll get some fun stories too. You'll get some. Remember last year we didn't have that many upsets in the first or second round, right? But you'll get some upsets. You'll get some fun stories. Hopefully, it's just not at UK's expense like it has been for large parts of the 2020s.
The good thing is, though, I don't think it'll be like that big of an upset if Kentucky were to lose. They're going to be playing a 10 or 11 seed.
I just don't want to see some future accountant make 10 threes against us. I've had quite enough of that. I don't want to see a guy that I look like I could beat up just totally torch the Cats. And that's happened. That's happened pretty much almost every elimination game that Kentucky's had.
What was the biggest upset last year? Was it Will Wade, McNeese State?
Well, they were such a trendy.
Yeah, they beat
upset
Clemson
pick.
by 2. Is that the biggest upset? The 5-12?
Probably. It was. We were lacking upsets last year.
Do
and
you
buzzer
think that?
beaters.
Do you think that that's going to be the norm now with the way that the transfer portal is allowing the bigger schools to take from the mid majors? Like, so, but Colorado State also, they beat Memphis, and then Drake beat Missouri. So an 11 beat a 6, 2 12s beat a 5.
Yeah, only one double-digit seed in the Sweet 16 last year. Do you know who that was?
Nope, I do not. I was scrolling.
John Calipari.
No, duh. Yeah, that's right. That's right. What a run to go through 2 Hall of Fame coaches on his way to doing that too. And as we all know, he should have been coaching against Florida.
If UK loses in the first round of the NCAA tournament and Arkansas goes to the Final Four with Cal, it's not going to be good.
I don't know what happened. I mean, yeah, I don't know what happens. I mean, here's what I found interesting though, and there's been a lot of people saying, you know, are Kentucky fans having some type of buyer's remorse with the whole Calipari Mark Pope thing? And Calipari's had a better year. I don't think there's anybody who's going to argue that. But I would say that, what is Arkansas's best case scenario for seeding right now? What's the highest you think they can get?
Arkansas?
Yeah.
Probably a 3 is the highest.
Right. So, I mean, Calipari had, I think, a stretch of 6 1 seeds in 8 years, going from Memphis to Kentucky. And he still is he's gonna be on his 12th straight season with no 1 seed. Or 11th straight season, I guess, with no 1 seed. And so, as you know, I'm big on the 1 seeds that's the easiest path. That's typically who gets to the Final Fours and wins championships. I wonder if Kentucky had the same season that Arkansas has had, would Kentucky fans be satisfied?
I don't know, satisfied. It's subjective, right?
It is. Would you be satisfied?
If Kentucky had the season Arkansas.
Don't worry about what Kentucky did. Ignore that. Calipari's still at Kentucky. Last year's team may have been different, but I do think for the most part you would have had this year's team plus JQ maybe.
Kentucky fans would be happy enough. There'd be some just disgruntled about it not being dominant enough or not winning the SEC. But so let's just pretend Arkansas is Kentucky and Kentucky's Arkansas or blah 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 blah. Like, I feel like Arkansas can make a run.
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
I don't feel like Kentucky can make a run.
No.
So I feel like people would probably be a little frustrated that the regular season wasn't more dominant, but they'd look at Acuff, they'd say he's one of the best players in college basketball. We can make a run. We can win. And that's true. That is true. Arkansas, I don't think, can win a national championship. I just think the other teams are too good. But they can make a Final Four. And I think they're one of, I really only think there's probably 12 teams that can make a Final Four. Now, the tournament's the tournament, and wacky and crazy things happen. But they're one of the teams that can make the Final Four, in my opinion. I don't have Kentucky in that category.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if you compare them, I mean, I would definitely take what Arkansas did this year over what Kentucky did. I mean,
yeah, but you were asking would Kentucky fans be cool with it, and I think most of them would be.
Most of them would be. I think if this was the exact results, I would have been a little frustrated with losing to Florida by as much as they did, even though it was at Florida. I'd be frustrated that you lost by 22 to Auburn. I think that they did squeak by some of those mid majors early in the season, but they won the games, so. There's no bad quad 4 losses on there. Would have been frustrated with that loss that they took at home on January 31st to a team that was unranked and struggling coming in. And, so they're Cal is always going to have your floor a little higher, just because of the players he's going to bring in. And obviously, if you have a guy like Acuff who can get hot, you do feel good that he can go on a run in the tournament. But as far as dominating, it still would be why are we still losing these games? Why are we not winning anything? He's still, but Arkansas has got a good shot of winning the SEC tournament. And I've always said if you can do one of those 3 things, if you win a trophy at the end of the season, whether it be the regular season, the SEC tournament, or winning your regional, that's a good year. TJ, I don't know. We'll be so excited whenever Kentucky gets back to, like, I don't know, going 26-5. This is amazing. 26-5. This is great. If they go, what did Arkansas go this year? 23-8. Man, we would love going 23-8. Like, we're going to be celebrating those seasons. I don't know. I'm just tired of watching Kentucky lose 10 games a year.
Yeah, and I had that take on the post-game show that, like, it's kind of hard. You want to talk about the game that just happened, and there's so much that we didn't get into. Some not reviewing so many of those things late in the game, but you didn't have a timeout, right? So you couldn't review. Yeah. And that theoretically could have cost you the game. The start could have cost you the game. So much of this stuff just comes back to coaching. And ultimately all of it does, because you look at the roster that was put together, and that is coaching. That is all on Mark Pope. These slow starts are all on Mark Pope. These late game situations. What game was it that went to a bunch of overtimes over the weekend, or maybe even during the week, where they were basically, I think it was on Tuesday night, whoever it was. They were basically like having challenge offs. Vandy and Ole Miss, was it? Where it was basically like, hey, I'm challenging this play. Hey, when we saw the challenge here, it was actually a hook and hold on the other team. There was like strategic challenging going on to save your team possessions or get your team free points. And Kentucky couldn't participate in a challenge off late in the game on Saturday because there was no timeouts to be had, so you couldn't do the challenge. It's just Mark Pope's in over his head. I think he has an idea of what he's doing, but he can't put pen to paper and execute that plan. He hasn't been able to do it. But I can't stress enough just how, and here in hour one, I tried to say, like, hey, while Wednesday is embarrassing, the road itself is not the end of the world. I do just want to kind of go back to the former of that statement. Folks, it is not okay that Kentucky basketball, even if the tiebreakers were the tiebreakers, it is not okay that Kentucky basketball is playing on Wednesday in the SEC tournament. It's not all right that we're talking about Kentucky being a 7 or an 8 or a 9 seed in the NCAA tournament. None of this is okay. None of this is normal. Right. None of this is good. And something has to be done about it. Like, I don't know if that means you got to make some assistant changes. But if they just keep everything the same and they go into this offseason with no recruits lined up, that's not normal. That's not good. That's not okay. But if they just run it back completely.
Well, they're getting Braden Hawthorne back.
And that, to me, was Mark Stoops. Cutter Boley is back, everybody. Hey, it's the Coaches Show. We've got a little bit of good news for you. I know this season's been terrible, but Cutter Boley's back. And I'll never forget, John Hale almost instantly was like, well, they say Cutter Boley's back. Has Cutter Boley said that he's back? Well, this is from the Lexington Herald-Leader. According to Braden Hawthorne, Braden Hawthorne has told the Lexington Herald-Leader that he'll be back. And you may say, any angle you want to take on this, I'm probably not going to fight you too much about it for what it's worth. But this is the redshirt player who was like a top 35 recruit in 2025. They brought him in. He's going to redshirt. With all the injuries, he kind of got kicked around. Maybe he's going to play. Then he kept getting hurt. He kept getting injured. And obviously he's not going to play. But the report from the Lexington Herald-Leader is that he will be back next year. Peak, I think there was some inside scuttlebutt or conversation that it wasn't a guarantee that he would be back.
Right.
That he may look around the NIL landscape. And it, again, just wasn't a guarantee that he would be back. That seems to have changed. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, if he says he's coming back, I'm going to take him at his word for it. I know that was the plan for Kentucky. I always thought the redshirting was kind of weird because I'm like, I don't believe that he's going to be in Lexington for 4 years. I think his plan isn't to be a senior at Kentucky. So I'll be, his plan is obviously to go to the NBA before he graduates. And I like him. The little bit I've seen of him, if you've gone to games, you've seen him. He's the first one out there to warm up every game. And I like his jumper. He's got a lot of Tayshaun Prince comparisons. I think he's tall, wingspan, what does he see? They have him listed at 6'8", $185. Might want to put on a little bit more weight But no, I like him. I think he's going to be a solid player. I think that's a good piece to have for next year. But you were saying, you can't just run this back. Do you mean like you can't just run this? I mean, do you mean like just the outcome, or do you mean like this roster? Because if you really
with coaching staff specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like you gotta fire an assistant and bring in another assistant.
Mark Fox, or who do you have anybody in?
No, it's really not personal to anybody. I don't care. I'm not inside baseball enough to know exactly who's carrying their weight and who's just getting free Jeff Rubies or stuff like that. I don't know, and I would trust people that know that stuff a little bit more. And that's not even me being like, I'm out for blood, this is unacceptable. But I do think the optics of a disappointing season, no recruits lined up, no big recruits landed just to begin with, right? Like Malachi Marino and Jasper, I'm not going to give you credit for landing these huge fish that were in your backyard, and potentially Peak or myself could have been the head coach and landed those guys. I wish that they viewed Jasper, I wish they treated some of these other recruits like they were born in Nicholasville or lived in Nicholasville. I wish Braylon Mullins that they just assumed that part of Indiana was actually a Kentucky territory or something like that.
Yeah.
But you have to change something up because the regular seasons have been underwhelming. Yes, injuries have played a role, but for as frustrating as the regular seasons have been, recruiting somehow has been worse. So you need to bring somebody in that at least has the optics of a good recruiter or somebody that can bring in players. And you know what, Peak? This is probably an off-season conversation, just hashing this up. But didn't Orlando Antigua want to stay in Lexington when Mark Pope took over? That was the scuttlebutt, at least.
Yeah.
And remember,
he had a house there.
He was still there. He was one of the last people that you got word on. He didn't go to Arkansas with Calipari. And it was like, hey, is Orlando still in Lexington? Well, technically, yeah. Is he on the staff? Well, he's still getting checks from Kentucky because he hasn't been terminated. Is there a chance that Pope's going to hire him? I don't know. Not impossible. Well, he probably should have hired him. Look at what Illinois has been doing. Look at the talent that they've had. And I don't want to say that's solely based on Orlando Antigua.
But that was what he was the best at, right?
Yes.
Was recruiting.
So after this year, and I don't want to say that this is like your pivot if you're Mark Pope. Oh, okay, yeah, things haven't been good, but now I'm bringing in this recruiter. How about that? And I know a lot of people are yelling at the radio, just do a GM. Just bring in a GM. That can be your big hire.
They are making a hire.
Fine. GM's cool. I'm fine with the GM. I'm also doing something with the staff, too, just to say, hey, y'all, I know that it was embarrassing that we're playing on Wednesday in the SEC tournament. I'm going to do something about it. And I'm not saying it's all this guy's fault that I'm letting go, but more so, I need this guy to come in and help me out. And I know that he's going to help me out, that he's going to help out the program. So you just can't run it back. And, yeah, you're right about that other hire. The Braden Hawthorne news I had written down to get to on today's show. It really does come off as the Cutter Bully sort of thing. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest if Hawthorne, Braden Hawthorne. I kept wanting to say Hayden Brawthorne. If Braden Hawthorne isn't a Kentucky Wildcat next year, I wouldn't be shocked either. So cool that he's back. Doesn't totally move the needle for me. I know people behind the scenes like this guy's game. Has Mark Pope deserved the benefit of the doubt in any capacity with anything that he's done? So maybe this kid ends up being really, really, really good. I'm going to need to see it, though, before I'm done giving Mark Pope any sort of grace or benefit of the doubt. So when he's putting this roster together for next year, Peak, I'm probably going to be a little bit of a cheeky little jerk about it. You know, like
he will be skeptical for sure.
I'm going to probably try to poke holes at it just because
last year's team was with if that team stays healthy, that was a really good team.
Yeah, we got on the shot making ability of the roster construction of last year.
Yeah,
we did. I mean, we were saying like Jalen Lowe's not a good shooter, Denzel Aberdeen not a good shooter.
No, but last year's team.
Are you saying about his first year?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like that team was actually really good. Had they stayed healthy, I think that they really could have done something. I think they probably get a double bye in the SEC tournament. And as tough as the SEC was last year, that would have been impressive. And maybe they play for an SEC championship. Maybe they get to an Elite Eight. Now, you can't. I mean, they had injuries, and everything played out the way it is. So everything I'm saying is just a guessing game as of what could have happened. But they were good. That was a really good team. I wish Mark Pope wouldn't have gotten away from the stuff that was working. He wanted to get more physical. Were they not physical enough when they beat Duke on a neutral floor? Like, were they not physical enough when they beat when they beat the eventual national champion? So, like, I think he just could have looked at that and said, well, one of the reasons that we struggled so much defensively is one of our best guard defenders shoulder was hanging on by a thread all year. And we had Andrew Carr, who wasn't a super physical player, but he was a good 4, was playing with a bad back. And, we were relying on Travis Perry minutes. We were like, Travis Perry was guarding Mark Sears at Alabama. Mark Sears is guarding Travis Perry. I mean, that Lamont Butler versus Mark Sears probably looks a little different. And even in the SEC tournament, you didn't get to see that matchup. You got to see it at home. And when those two teams played at home, I think it was a 5-point Alabama win. Last year's team was really good. Had it stayed healthy, I don't think you see the overcorrection. I talked with J. Kyle Mann. He was sitting next to me at the, if you don't know him, he's from The Ringer, well-respected guy in the basketball media community. And he said what we've been saying all year, that Kentucky overcorrected. And he said, I think what you're going to see is Mark Pope's going to go and get the guys who can do his offense, go do the zoom action stuff, and they're going to lean heavy into that again next year. And that's what a successful Mark Pope team is going to look like. I don't think he obviously doesn't need to play money ball. You don't need to go find these diamonds in the rough. But if you go and look at that Tennessee game from the road game against Tennessee last season, where Kentucky was starting a role player from FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson. They were starting a center from Drexel, a guard from Dayton, the best player at BYU, and then a role player at Oklahoma. And they went in and played a top 5 Tennessee team and beat them. I don't think Mark Pope forgot how to coach this year. I think he really struggled in his roster construction, and we all know that. He's gonna have to fix that this year, and I'm not completely giving up on Mark Pope yet. I'm not. I still am holding out hope that he can do this.
Doesn't it feel like the rebuild going into this year is more similar to Mark Pope's first year than his second year? It almost feels like you're restarting.
It does, because you don't have any recruits.
And you are going to get Braden Hawthorne back. Yeah. Colin Chandler will be back. And Malachi Marino, I imagine, will probably be back. But you have 0 recruits. Very, very good. Yeah, that's great. That's similar.
There are reasons to be worried. I mean, I'm not saying that. The recruiting.
No Tega, no Aberdeen.
You're losing
pretty much all your stars.
A lot of points. You're losing a lot of scoring distribution off this team.
And this is it. And you just can't have a terrible year 3 and do a year 4, although I'm worried that they'll do just that with the new AD in. If they hire yeah, I've kind of finished the post-game show just being like, this is probably the most pessimistic I've ever been overall with UK athletics, just because who's the leader? Who's the guy that you feel like, you know what, I'll make sure this gets better. I'm sick of this, and I'll change it. And you have money, and you know the Crafts have a ton of money, and that's good, and that maybe makes you feel a little bit better. But what if they hire within at the athletic director, and that guy's like, you know what, we love Mark Pope. Barnhart loved Pope. I love Pope. We're giving him 3 more years. It's not impossible. And then secondly, if they do hire within, you think that guy's going to come out and say, like, yeah, I know that Pope is Mitch Barnhart's guy, and I know that he's a beloved Wildcat, but the first thing that I'm doing 9 months of my job is I'm firing that guy after 3 years, and I'm hiring a new guy. I doubt it. No, I would love the balls of somebody to do that.
Now, if it goes bad next year, I've asked people before, what do you need to see out of next year for Mark Pope to get a 4th year? He's definitely getting a 3rd year. We can have all the fire Mark Pope threads that we want, and he's going to be the coach. And I'm not as excited about that as I have been the last couple of years, but I still think he can figure it out and get it done. what would be the threshold for firing next year? Not just what TJ Walker would do, but what do you think? How bad would it have to be for them to?
Well, it depends. Again, if it's a totally outside athletic director, I think an outside athletic director may be anxious to fire Pope and be like, all right, I want to
Get my guy.
Get my own guy. And then let's actually get this thing
what
running.
would that have to be? A season like this?
So I think it kind of depends
10-8?
if it's an outsider versus an insider. I think that kind of changes the landscape of it. But let's just say it's an insider because that's what I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think it'd have to be worse than this year for Mark Pope to be fired. I think if it's this year or similar, an in-hire athletic director is keeping him, which is terrifying to me. Which is so dumb and terrifying, but I'm really worried that's where we're at, where if they just hire Mitch Barnhart's buddy to take over for him, it's going to say, all right, well, he had injuries the first 2 years. Year 3, no injuries, but it wasn't that great. Year 4, this is the final make or break year. I'm really worried about that.
So do you think probably 80% chance Mark Pope is coaching going into the 2027-28 season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I do too. I mean,
honestly,
I think he's good enough that it won't come off the
I
this
hope
year.
that he is, because that means if he's not, then I just hope that he has a good enough season somewhere along the way, because we desperately need it.
A lot of the fan base has given up on him, and if he has another year like this, you are gonna have to really do some tough convincing that it's worth the 4th year, and that means you gotta have recruits coming in for 2027-28. I mean, I can't believe we're already talking that far ahead, but he
honestly maybe should be fired for these first 2 years. He honestly should maybe be let go for these first 2 years.
You don't give him the benefit of the doubt for the injuries.
That's the only thing. If injuries
but that is significant, though.
It totally is. It totally is. I'm just saying it is debatable that he should be fired after 2 years. If we had another year of this, there would be no debate.
And I don't think he gets the benefit of the doubt with injuries again next year. Because then it's just because we said he's had injuries at BYU, he had injuries at Utah State.
My fear is that similar to this year, next year similar to this year, and this spineless AD is going to be like, all right, we're giving him one more time.
Because his contract was 5 years, but he got an extension for going to the Sweet 16 last year, right? So he has 4 more years on his contract after this year.
So dumb. So all right, we got to take our last break, and then we're going to read the text. I want to remind you about Salsaritas, 3 locations in the Louisville area, Middletown, St. Matthews, and they're out in Bullitt County in Shepherdsville. Download that Salsaritas app, catering, lunch, whatever you need right at the touch of your fingertips. Save money, save time with that Salsaritas app. And then one other reminder, and we'll talk more about this next segment. Listen to the 7th Region Championship game with Scooter Dingus, Justin Kalen on the call, 7 o'clock. Scoots is on the call on the YouTube. John Spears is on the radio call right here on Big X Sports Radio. You can listen to the St. X Ballard game. That's going to be a doozy out at Valley High School. This is Kentucky Roll Call. One final segment coming up next.
You make me wanna say, oh, oh.
We could not figure out if it was going to be lighter in the morning or darker in the morning on Saturday, and we were trying to do it like it was just fried brain trying to figure it out. It is darker in the morning, but it is lighter later, if you haven't figured that out by now. Daylight savings. Are you all both people that you want it one way or another? Keep it how it is?
Do it this.
You like this?
Keep this one.
Okay.
Why are we taking away more sunlight from the? I know it's like, is it because of kids getting on school buses? Okay.
Dark in the morning now.
Yeah, I don't know about anything about that. I don't know how you fix that. But it does. The less light in that period of time, I just hate it. I get like depressed that it's 5 p.m. and it's dark. So just whatever this is, I wish we can keep it, but if we can't, whatever. I thought there was a bill like 8 years ago that they were supposed to do.
Yeah, it's got kicked around a bunch. Both Trump first and second term, he's talked about making it one way or another. You have a take on it, producer Matt?
I'm the same way with Peak. Just keep it this way. I mean, we can. It's one of those where I feel like once you just pull the trigger and you just let things happen, it starts to feel like you just get used to it in one way or another. So even if you chose the other way, that maybe it's lighter in the morning, we'd eventually get used to it. I just really don't see the point in swapping it twice in 1 year anymore. Like
I do hate changing it, and you all both are on the same page that you like the daylight. There are just as many. I mean, it really is like a 50-50 issue in terms of like people who prefer it one way versus people who prefer it the other way. I don't totally care. I also like more daylight, but I also understand not wanting it to be pitch black when kids are out at the school bus stop in the morning. That there's a safety issue that goes in with that. Why not just 30 minutes? Why don't we just do it when we sprang forward? Why didn't we just do spring 30 minutes and then just keep it that? And that's that. 30 minutes. Or when we fall back in the fall, why don't we fall back 30 minutes and then just keep it and then never touch it again? We're always thinking about it in a big hour, and an hour one way or another is a pretty huge difference when you're talking about daylight and only a 24-hour day. So it's drastic either way you do it. Why don't we just do 30 minutes and then don't touch it? Keep it the same.
If there's data to back up that it's less safe and that kids are in danger, then I'm fine with adjusting. But it's like, dang, man, like I don't know, like just losing an hour of sleep. Not a big fan of that. Losing an hour of your weekend, not a big fan of that. Can we do it? Can we like spring forward at 4 p.m. on Monday or something?
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Did you have an issue with us springing forward and losing an hour on Women's Day?
International Women's Day got cut short. You're right.
What do you think about that?
Well, we got to take a look at it. That's somebody should be offended by that.
I think a lot of people
were they a little upset?
Yeah, a lot of people were totally
First
offended
off,
by that.
Happy International Women's Day. You seen that?
I have
the little LeBron James meme.
Yeah,
it's a great reference. So time changes, International Women's Day. Well, there's another quick hitter I wanted to get to. 7th Region Championship game tonight here on Big X Sports Radio. John Spears, Tony Burke. You can listen to them every day on Big X Sports Radio from 10 to 11. Spears and Tony Burke on sports. Great show. I love listening to them. They do a great job. Kind of like old man radio, but it's funny. But they'll be on the call. Huge game. St. X versus Ballard. Tons of college basketball talent playing in that one. I mean, probably 3-4 guys who may end up playing decent level D1 basketball. And I'm probably selling them short, probably more than that, honestly. So that's at Valley tonight. So if you leave right now, you probably can make it in time for that 7 o'clock tip. And winner will go to Rupp Arena and represent the 7th Region and certainly be the favorite to win it all. St. X Ballard tonight at 7. And then the 6th Region Championship, which I think is PRP Butler, tomorrow at Valley. So some good basketball. Tigers beat your Trinity Shamrocks on Friday.
Dang.
Good game, though. Like I said, it was like a 4-point game in the fourth quarter. Trinity had plenty of chances. Just St. X wore them down. Ended up getting the big win, and then Ballard had no problem with Manual in the other 7th Region semifinal.
I like the text from the Gameday Men's Health text line. It's a common misconception. Is it due to the farmers having more light to work in the evening? That's actually false. That's I don't know where that got started, but I was told that even in school.
Yeah,
like
I was told that too.
We were also told.
Yeah, and it's not true. Actually, the reason they did it was to conserve energy during World War I. So the farmers the farmers did not want to do this.
I mean, it could be multi-layered, the reasoning and rationale, but yes, I'd always heard the farmers thing. Never really made sense to me.
The thing is like Steven said, like I was looking it up while you were talking about it as well, and he's right. It was implemented in 1918. It was for conserving fuel so that you only work during the daytime, so you don't have to burn fuel and lights and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, you're telling me we're still using this ever since 1918? That's still the purpose?
Yes.
Does that just seem lazy?
Yeah. And unless you can give me like reasons for doing it now, and if it is because the kids are like, if you can say, well, there's more accidents or something on the roads, and kids are in danger, or they have to walk to the bus stop in the dark or something. If you can show me that data that it's safer for kids, then that I'll go along with it. But if you can't, then yeah, what are we doing? Like World War I ended in 1918. I think we're good on that. I think we don't need to do World War I stuff anymore.
Yeah, I think it's time to move on.
Patrick Murphy texted the show. He says, Scooch saved my butt after Friday night's Class A board and sectional for finding my big butt camera. I'd misplaced it on Wednesday night when it was wedged underneath the bleachers. Yeah, Patrick, I heard that you accused people of stealing it. But in reality, you had just lost it. And then secondly, Patrick Murphy's talking about how he was thrown out of a bar last night.
Whoa!
Because he had some beef with a guy and he wanted to bring it back up. So that Patrick Murphy, what's going on, buddy? You getting in fights? You bringing up old confrontations? Losing your big camera? Alex from Colga texted in. Hey, Alex, hope you're doing well, buddy. Happy afternoon. I have not listened to a second of today's show yet, but I'm sure this has come up. After shallow thought, I've decided John Calipari should be our next AD. Did a lot for the state, has a lot of financial backing from former players, and pretty forward thinking in college athletics. I'm sure there are some problems, but I would take him over the JMI shill lady and the Mitch's top button twin in waiting. Have a great week, fellas. John Calipari for athletic director, Stephen Peak.
Yeah, it would be funny that he took over after Mitch.
It'd be hilarious seeing him.
How would he get along with the executive in residence, though?
It'd be funny having to see him fire somebody.
He fires Mark Pope first thing he does.
Be like, listen, this women's softball program has been great. It's really been moved in a great direction, but it just, we're not pooping ice cream. I don't know. He'd use his Calipariisms, and it'd be all a mess. Kentucky not in the top 25 of the AP poll.
Ah, dang.
Louisville back in after a big road win. They come in at
there you go.
24.
Pat Kelsey got one.
So
1 week short of the entire season, unfortunately.
There you have it.
Did you say unfortunately? What, do you want him to lose?
No, I meant like if we wouldn't have lost twice last week, we would have been in top 25 the whole season.
I see what you're saying. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I thought you meant the Pat Kelsey winning a road game against a ranked team.
I'm definitely happy with him finally beating a ranked team on the road.
Texter says, crapshoot nil era teams. Sometimes you'll get teams who will play well together. Sometimes you won't. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily what's going on here, just with all the injuries. But I also think that fit wasn't perfect either, Texter, so you're not totally wrong. Didn't we assume that Coach O chose to go back to Illinois instead of to Arkansas? He wouldn't just jump on post staff after Cal was run off. I remember it differently. I could be wrong, but I seem to think that he was very much open to listening to what UK wanted to say. I remember there was people like Roush and myself who were saying it may not be the worst thing in the world to have somebody on staff that has a little familiarity with the way things have been ran. Now, the countering opinion there was, no, you just have to start fresh. You don't want anybody to be picking sides or anything like that. You just got to start fresh. I just want good recruiting. I just want good players at UK. So if you have somebody that can do that can make that a reality, Orlando Antigua or anybody, I would have them in the program. And after this year, after 2 years of not getting any recruits outside of the state worth a fart, then I would say you need to reevaluate what your recruiters are doing on staff. Oh, but get a GM. I mean, okay, but why is the GM going to be more successful than his recruiters are, than his assistants are?
I feel like you just do it because all the other top schools are doing it.
I think
I don't know that that's necessarily that'll make a huge difference.
Right, but all the other schools hire assistants too, right, for recruiting and for coaching.
Yeah.
And Pope did.
Yes.
Has that worked out for us?
No, but yeah. And the other thing you should do is when the SEC says, "Hey, Bridgestone's going to be open for you to do a shoot around the day prior of your game," you should do it and not skip out on that.
So UK's not going down to Nashville tomorrow?
No, TJ, they were fine. They made 16 shots out of 60 the last time they were there. They only lost by 35.
See, I don't care about, like, you need to get used to that arena because you shoot poorly in that arena, right? Like, how often do they play in Fayetteville, and they shot pretty well in Fayetteville?
No, you're right. It's not that big of a deal, but it's also just do it.
Here's my bigger – yeah, you should just do it, and we ultimately agree. Here's my bigger deal. That's like a thing for the fans, right?
It's not. It is open to the media, but it's not open for the fans.
Fans can't go to the shoot-around? That's just NCAA tournament?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that changes the stand. Because it was like, I thought that was fans could go in, just watch the team for a little while. I know they do that for the NCAA tournament. So for the SEC tournament, it was just media, and they're just saying they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed that they're playing on Wednesday. They think it's beneath them, so they're not going down on Tuesday because the optics are embarrassing it to them.
I would
That's
just
why
say,
they're not doing it.
if they're going to let you shoot in the arena, like you said, yeah, you shoot well in other arenas and you don't get to use the court. But a lot of times on road trips, you are given that opportunity. Maybe it's like the same day, early in the day, which they will probably have. But I mean, you're going to do that. Your game's at 11:30, so it's not like you're getting in there at 7 for a walkthrough, and then you're going to have your warm ups and everything.
Yeah.
I would say if it were my team, like I would just do it, but it's not like a huge deal. I don't know that it'll make a difference in whether they win or lose the game necessarily. So that's I get it, but they're just like, no, we don't want to get down there that early, so we're gonna. Maybe they can't afford to stay in the hotel another day because you got to pay somebody $1 million to be the executive in residence. So you got to consider those things as well.
I would have done it as well. I don't think it's a huge deal, but that's why they're not doing it. They're just embarrassed that they're playing on Wednesday. Well, you should have won one more SEC game, probably more than just one more SEC game, for what it was worth, and you wouldn't have that issue. Texter says, Cal for coach, we made a big mistake. I wonder how much it costs if we just went on hands and knees.
I mean, if
there'd be a little part of Cal that
would like that we were doing that.
And secondly, like he'd like to end it on his terms and end it the right way.
Players are too tired to go down a day early. They would be exhausted.
Too much fatigue. Yeah, they're still on load management right now.
That's a good text.
I think Georgia Southern has half of Croatia area over here playing basketball, says one texter. Oh, that's cool. Maybe they can transfer to Kentucky. Another texter says, hey, Mike, that's for Rutherford. We'll get to that a bit later. Coach O definitely wanted to stay. He had literally just moved into a new house. He did not want to leave. Plus, he was out on Cal on top of it. Yeah, there were some rumors that those two didn't see eye to eye. So I think Coach O would have happily been on Mark Pope's first staff if he wanted to. Probably be tough to get him now, though. But I don't even know who the great recruiters are in college basketball. Patrick Murphy says, I just thought someone would steal it because it's an expensive camera. The guy has beef with me from 13 months ago.
Whoa.
No fights ever happened between me and him. I don't throw punches, says Patrick Murphy. That's
good for you, Patrick.
Lover, not a fighter, Patrick Murphy. Another texter says, as long as Cal is their coach, they won't make any kind of run. Cal is a professional choke artist, says one texter. Another texter says, no, it's okay. You all can skip trivia this week. We will be so disappointed, but it's okay. We promise. Then we're going to do it tomorrow. We're going to do a little trivia tomorrow. Be a good time. We'll have fun. Another texter says on the Gameday Men's Health text line, my birthday is July 11th here. It's a good time for a birthday. Yeah, I just think like the dog days of summer would be a good time to celebrate a birthday because there's nothing else going on because those are the worst months of the year. Call it now, lads. How many more wins this season? Good question. All right, producer Matt, how many more wins for Kentucky basketball this year?
I'm going to say they get 3 wins.
Yeah, 3's the number. I think Vegas would set the over-under at, like, 3.5.
Yeah, I wanted to give a different answer, but I can't really convince myself of less or more. Like, I really think they'll win.
I think everybody thinks 2. So,
2
really,
SEC tournament, 1 NCAA tournament. But they have potential
really
to win
2.5 probably would be the better number.
Okay, so you think maybe less than...
Because you think they're getting 1 on Wednesday. That's 1. You feel good about that. Missouri's a toss-up.
They did lose. They were down by 18.
Missouri's a toss-up.
Yeah,
you get that, that's 2. Okay, looking good. You ain't beating Florida, so that's where you stop right there. So then you go to the NCAA tournament. Do you win 1 game there? All right, that's 3, so you'd hit the over 2.5 right there.
Right.
But if you lose to Missouri, you'd have to win 2 NCAA. So I really think the better over-under number would be 2.5.
Is there anything about what happens this week that will affect Kentucky seed, or do you think it's kind of already?
Yeah, if they got to Saturday, they'd probably move up to back, maybe getting that 6 seed conversation.
But assuming they'll lose to Florida, let's just because they're not going to. I don't think they're going to win 3.
Their best case scenario, assuming that they don't beat Florida, which I agree with you, their best case scenario is a 7 seed. I'd say the worst case scenario is a 10 seed. And unfortunately, I think we're all pretty darn well locked into that 8-9 spot. Just think that's where they're at. With the collapse that has happened, what have they lost? What is it, 5 of their last 7? 4 of their last 6, whatever it is? I mean, they're on a losing streak. They've lost their last 2, I know that. But whatever it is, before then, like a 6 and a 5 seed were totally on the table.
I mean, yeah, Kentucky.
Now I think you're locked into
5 of their last 7 coming into this. So,
Another texter says, when was the last time we took something away like teams have taken away Chandler? Yeah, it's a good question. The portal closes April 21st. Big 6 weeks coming up for Mark Pope. Just ginormous.
Yeah, that's why I'm actually just anxious to get through this season so we can get to this very important offseason. I mean, I'm going to try to enjoy the games, but that's just where I'm at.
Texter says the Jasper Garrison stretch when we don't get it back to 2019 was killer. Jasper doesn't get on the floor for a loose ball, lead into a Florida bucket, Garrison turnover, Jasper turnover, plus flagrant, and the game's over. Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
You were like right there. You'd overcome the terrible start. You felt like you had some momentum, and then you still get down 17 at the half despite that point.
Yeah,
it's just wild, wild stuff. John here, let's go. It's the start of the tournament season. I'm excited for the Cats, regardless of if everyone, including myself, is down on them at times. I want to think positive vibes that maybe some players come back and play. If that happens, so be it. If not, maybe the roster as it is, I can find a way to win some games. I think it can happen. Maybe I'm just crazy. We'll got to go talk to you later. You are crazy. TJ, not sure if I've mentioned it. Oh, boy. That's a long one about St. Margaret Mary. We don't have time for it. The official UK pregame radio show can be a hard listen. Here's one vote for KRC pregame show on Wednesday.
Woo!
Ryan from Freedom Hall. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. All right, we're out of time. Everybody have a great Monday. We will be doing radio tomorrow at noon, and then after that, stay tuned. Be on the lookout. Be alert. Be ready. This is Kentucky Roll Call. It's championship week here on Big X Sports Radio. Stephen Peak, TJ Walker, producer Matt Childers.